right in the middle of two involuntary treatment hearings that I'm presiding over. So I do have to make this a shorter docket. Those cases do take some priority. So I guess first I will hear from any folks who were potentially going to ask for setovers anyway. I have a few cases where I think setovers would be occurring regardless, just because we don't have information to finalize a decision today. But let me turn it over, especially to any attorney represented matters.
Your Honor, I'm present on the Brightmeyer matter numbers 5 and 6.
Okay.
I wasn't necessarily going to be requesting a setover, but given the court's position today, I'm also currently in 2 places at once on the domestic docket. I have 4 matters currently waiting to be heard on that docket. There has been a lot of movement, at least from my client and the petitioner's behalf. I do note that a lot of materials were maybe filed yesterday or within the last couple days, and I don't necessarily think that they were served upon all parties. So I think everything included, I don't think it would be a bad idea to set this over at least a week.
Okay. And then I think I do also have, do I have Mr. Anagnosto on this one on behalf of the mother?
Correct. And I don't see him here this morning.
Don't see him yet. I'll keep an eye on the waiting room. Ms. Cost, I do see you there.
Yes.
Do you have any objection to a setover? I do see filings from Mom. And Kirsten, are you with us?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Have you been in touch with your attorney, Mr. Anagnosto?
He called me this morning and said that he was going to be here at the hearing today, but I don't see him either. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with that.
Okay, we'll give it just a minute. So I'll wait for your attorney. Ms. Cost, what is your position on a 1-week set over to next Tuesday at 10:30?
I believe that works fine for our schedule. Let me double check that.
Okay. We would be just extending that immediate order just 1 week through that date.
Tuesday the 7th does work. I don't know what was necessarily filed from Ms. Gilliam recently, but I have not received anything from her.
Okay. Let's see. I still don't see Mr. Anagnosto. If you all hold tight, as soon as he logs in, I'll just get his position on the brief set over, and then I'll recall these 2 matters.
So father has
Very good.
been
Thank you, Judge.
served,
Thank you both.
and the full guardianship has been filed. I would ask that we set this over to the 14th. He has been served out of state, and that would allow for the full 20 days.
Okay. And will you remind me the case that you're in?
Booth. Yes.
Okay. And do we have any other parties on this matter?
I didn't see them, so I'm guessing not. I let them know that I would be asking for a continuance.
Okay. So let me just jump into that file. And so you indicated that there has been service, but it was out of state.
That's correct. Father's incarcerated at Arizona Department of Corrections near Phoenix, and I was able to make contact with the corrections officers there. They provided for service, and I helped facilitate that, and I filed proof of that.
Okay. And then I look like I see that Judge Fassett did sign the order on emergency minor guardianship on September 7th. And I'm just looking, I think at that point we didn't have the full guardianship filed yet.
That's correct.
And
it has been filed now.
It has been filed now. So I will, after today's hearing, I will set this out. You said to November 14th at 10:30. And
Correct.
then I'll reissue the order on emergency minor guardian through the full hearing on the petition.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you
yes,
for
Ron.
being here. And I was saying,
You're
I
welcome.
started
Have a good rest of
docket
your
just
day.
a little bit early. Unfortunately, for those who were with me last week, this is kind of a broken record. I'm in between 2 ITA hearings at this exact minute. So I am cases that are likely to be set over anyway, I'm going to try and talk about first. But in all likelihood, most, if not all cases will need to be set over to Thursday or Tuesday. In talking to the other parties, it sounds like there's been some additional filings by your client, Ms. Gilliam, that haven't yet been served on all the parties. So we would likely be doing a set over anyway. Do you have any objection to moving this to next Tuesday at 10:30 a.m.?
No, I mean, I believe well,
It looked to me like Ms. Gilliam filed
some additional information. Yeah.
some several pages of text messages that haven't been provided to the other parties yet. So we would likely be doing a set over anyway.
I have a week of trial next week. I'm not sure what day it's going to go. I won't know until the 11:30 docket today.
Okay. Why don't we set you all, or Ms. Bliss, did you want to?
I don't have any objections to 2 weeks if that works better for Mr. Anagnostou, or we can set it for next week with a little caveat that if he has trial at that time, we might need to renote it anyways.
And Mr. Anagnostou, I'll leave that to your discretion. Ms. Farr, did you have?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to ask for 2 weeks because I've only made contact with Mother so far. And I
Okay,
haven't had time to interview the other parties.
so then why don't let's do November 14 at 10:30. That gives everyone time to receive documents and respond if they want. It'll free up the stress of having to reach out to the court if you get set for trial on Tuesday. And then Ms. Barr will have additional time to speak to the parties. Does that work for everyone?
Yes, it does, Judge. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll get that emergency or the immediate order extended just through November 14. All right. I know I have. Thank
Thank you,
you
Jen.
all. Attorney Sasaki present, Ms. Looney present, Ms. Farr. This is one where I think last time we are very, very close to finalization. We had the consent. Now, I believe the actual page signed by Mr. Layton versus the attachment that we had last time. So I do have that on file. I'll just let the parties know. This was also one where, as you all recall, I had a concern with not having the records back from DCYF. And I think since our last hearing, we have, with Ms. Farr's help, figured out where the disconnect might be coming from. There's a different email portal that DCYF is using now that perhaps hadn't been communicated to the court. So I still don't have those records though, but the clerk's office has resent the request. So I guess I'll turn it over to the parties, but my hesitation still is that I don't feel comfortable signing the order without the DCYF response, which I am hopeful will happen any day now that we have figured out the portal issue. But Ms. Farr, since you were kind of on the forefront of helping get that fixed, I'll let you go first.
So, Your Honor, I would just like to say that I think I'd like to set this over for 2 weeks, give it time for the CPS records to be filed. And I did not know that father's consent had been filed until this morning. I saw it on Odyssey. So I need to send the findings to the petitioner to complete and then get those circulated as well. So I think 2 weeks would be the minimum amount of time to get all that done.
Okay. Mr. Sasaki, how does November 14th at 10:30 work?
Excuse me, Your Honor. Yes, that'll work.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further input on behalf of your client at this time?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor, and to all parties for the additional time to get the informed consent from my client. Yeah, it is an Odyssey now signed by both the client and myself. I just wanted to clarify for the final orders with regard to the two issues of one, support, and two, visitation. My client won't be released for another 3 years, and so it will not be possible for him to provide support, at least during that time. And with regard to visitation, I did notice that on the petition for the minor guardianship that the box is checked that the petitioner asked the court to approve the petitioner's proposed visitation. However, it's not explained what that visitation is, and I'll leave that up to the petitioner on their discretion and how they'd like to set that up. But I did notice that might cause some confusion going forward.
Ms. Looney, any input on the support issue?
Your Honor, we wouldn't be opposed to setting this over. So if we're setting it over, I can save that response to the next hearing date, or I can address it now.
I think that's fine if we want to set this over to November 14th, and then Ms. Farr, perhaps we can get clarity from the petitioners on the requested visitation. And if it's contested, I can certainly rule on it on the 14th.
I think it was just how she initially filed the paperwork, and it's probably cleared up now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. We'll see everyone back on November 14th. Thank you for your cooperation on this one. Ms. Maddox, thank you for being here as always. Thank you. Ms. Farr, I did review the file on this case. And I did see your motion, Ms. Maddox, and essentially at this point, your request is for the court to essentially waive any sort of requirement of service. I have reviewed your briefing on that. Thank you for submitting it to the court. Ms. Farr, what is your position on Ms. Maddox's request regarding service on the father?
Well, Your Honor, I know that the last hearing we talked about that I thought that there were still some options to explore, and I apologize, but I haven't had time to explore those options yet. I still need to call the father's mother and see if there isn't a way to get in touch with him. And I have read Ms. Maddox's declaration through this whole through these proceedings. In a nutshell, Ms. Maddox asked for a court visitor, but I think that she asked for the court visitor to advocate for her position and not for my independent opinion. And so I'm still working on that. And I just need a little more time to contact those people and ensure that there isn't any other option. And then I would agree with her if that is the case.
Okay.
The other issue is that, same in this case, we don't have CPS records.
Yeah. Ms. Maddox, the CPS records are an issue that the court is working on directly with CPS. So that's nothing for you to essentially be concerned with at this point. My primary question for you is whether you want to respond to the indication that we allow additional time to rule out whether personal service or electronic service can be effectuated. I think in your motion, you also indicated you didn't feel like notice by publication was necessary. Do you want to be heard on that beyond what's in your briefing?
I don't think so, Your Honor. I think that everything in my briefing was all that I have to offer to you.
Okay. So in reviewing your briefing, re-reviewing the relevant statutes and case law, where the court is being asked to, and Ms. Maddox, I certainly understand you've been in essentially constructive guardianship of this minor for years and years, and probably the reason that you haven't put in the emergency request. We really are dealing with the full minor guardianship petition. So I understand your position, but the court's guidance from the law is that where such a significant right, such as parental custody and rights is at stake, we the strong preference, if not requirement, is personal service. However, we note that sometimes that is not possible. But before making that judicial finding, we really do need to make a determination from the bench that all avenues have been exhausted. I certainly understand your position. I understand that ultimately that might be the decision this court makes, but I don't think today is that day. I do think that there are additional steps that are available to determine if we can serve. And at the very least, I would believe that service by a publication would be the last resort before I would make any finding that we've exhausted all other remedies. So I am going to set this matter over. Ms. Farr, how much time would you be requesting?
Since we've set a couple already for 2 weeks, if we could set it for 3 weeks, I'd appreciate that.
Is everyone available the 21st? I know that's the week of Thanksgiving, so I don't know if folks have travel plans, but it would be Tuesday. My proposal would be Tuesday, the 21st at 10:30.
I'm fine with that, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Dates available as well, Your Honor.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So we'll set this over. We'll make a note. The court will work on the CPS records requests, and then Ms. Maddox, if you can work with Ms. Farr on her recommendations for service. Again, I understand your position, and you probably don't agree with my decision today, and that's okay. We can agree to disagree, but I think to get where you ultimately want to be, if you just work constructively with Ms. Farr on her recommendations, I think we'll ultimately get where you want to be. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you all. We'll see you on the 21st. Pull up that digital
okay.
file. Thank you so much. On this case, is it Reisenberg? Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent.
Okay, so thank you for agreeing to take this appointment, and Ms. Farr, you are on this case as well. When parties were first in front of me a few weeks ago, I had some questions and concerns about service, out of state, service address, some other potential issues. So I have not signed any sort of emergency guardianship paperwork at this time. My thought, I still don't see anything additional filed since our last hearing. So my thought is we do need more time on this case anyway. And I'm already 6 minutes over starting my second ITA hearing. So I guess I'm asking if there's going to be a significant objection to a set over for more time on this case.
No.
Okay. And Ms. Farr, any input?
I haven't had contact with any of the parties yet, so I would like, and it's some additional time, 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay. Would the November 21st at 10:30 date and time work for folks?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you all for being so accommodating on this. We'll see you back in 3 weeks, November 21st at 10:30 a.m.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
Okay. I'm just going to pull up this file. I believe we also have Ms. Farr on this case.
Yes, Your Honor.
But again, we've assigned you a string of cases very recently. We do have an immediate order in place. At this point, since I don't see anything additional filed, my inclination is also that I need to set this one over anyway, both given the court's schedule today and the lack of being able to move forward based on the record anyway. Ms. Farr, what's your input on that first?
Yes, similar to the other cases. I have scheduled an interview with Ms. Rasmussen, but I have not made contact with the other parties yet.
Okay. Since we just set a bunch of these to the 14th and the 21st, does 4 weeks seem like too long?
No, I would appreciate that if that is agreeable to everybody else.
Okay, so let me start with Ms. Rasmussen. I'll ask you first. Do you have any objection to this being set to November 28? I believe we have an immediate order in place through today. I would be extending that through the 28th.
Okay, that's fine, Your Honor.
Okay.
I know.
And then I have Angie online. Are you here on this case as well?
Yes, I'm Lily's grandma. I have custody of Emily's fourth child, Lily's sister.
Okay. So not, you're not one of the specific petitioners on this case with Lily, correct?
No, I was
Okay.
the one that had Lily when I got a hold of Rachel because of the stuff that happened with Emily at my home, to have Rachel come take Lily.
Okay. And then I'll just make sure I don't have anyone else on this matter. I don't have Emily Erickson or Travis Salas.
They do know about it. Emily contacted me.
Yep, it's okay. I'm just asking. I'm just double checking if they're in the Zoom courtroom. So
Okay.
hearing and seeing no other folks and seeing no one else in the Zoom waiting room, I will set this out 4 weeks to November 28th. I will reissue the emergency order through that date. So Ms. Rasmussen, if you need a copy of that, that will be available at the Superior Court Clerk's office.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Ms. Farr, anything else we need to address?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for being accommodating. We will see you in a few weeks.